Captain Tay stood in the observation deck of the diplomatic station and watched the alien ship approach. The vessel was massive, dark metal covered in what looked like battle scars. It had been 3 months since humanity received the message from the Vresh Empire. 3 months of preparation for this moment. "They're docking now," Hana said from behind him. She was the chief science officer and had spent those 3 months learning everything possible about the Vresh. It was not much. The Vresh did not share information freely. Kwon moved closer to Tay. The security officer's hand rested near his weapon, though Tay had ordered everyone to appear peaceful. "Captain, are you sure about this? They've conquered 15 star systems." Tay nodded. "That's exactly why we need to talk to them. Better to be friends than enemies." The docking clamps engaged with a heavy thud that echoed through the station. Tay straightened his uniform and walked toward the airlock. His team followed. Besides Hana and Kwon, there was Jin at Communications and Sora as their cultural advisor. All of them looked nervous. Tay felt nervous too, but he could not show it. The airlock opened with a hiss of equalizing pressure. The Vresh entered. Tay had seen pictures, but pictures did not prepare him for the reality. They were tall, nearly 8 feet, with scales that shimmered like polished stone. 4 arms, each one muscled and powerful. Their faces were angular, with large eyes that seemed to take in everything at once. 3 of them were female warriors. Tay could tell by the biological markers Hana had briefed him about. They wore armor that was like nothing he had ever seen. Each piece told a story. Scratches from blades, burn marks from energy weapons, carved symbols that probably marked victories. The one in front, the tallest female, had a scar running from her eye down to her jaw. Her armor was decorated with more symbols than the others. Behind her, another female warrior had armor that looked older, more battered. The third was younger, Tay guessed, with fewer marks, but a fierce look in her eyes. Behind the 3 females stood a male Vresh. He was even larger, his armor pure black. This was Drakkar, their commander. The file said he had never lost a battle. Tay stepped forward. Protocol said he should bow slightly and state his name and rank. He opened his mouth to do exactly that. Then he really looked at them. These were not just soldiers. These were warriors who had fought across the stars. Each scar was a story. Each mark on their armor was a victory. The way they stood, the way they held themselves, it spoke of absolute confidence. They were magnificent. The words came out before he could stop them. "You're absolutely stunning," Tay said. He gestured toward the 3 female warriors. "I've never seen such magnificent warriors." Silence fell like a hammer. The 3 female warriors froze. Their eyes went wide. The tall one in front, her mouth opened slightly. The scarred veteran beside her looked like she had been struck. The youngest one's hand moved to her weapon, then stopped, confusion clear on her face. Drakkar's expression changed. His eyes narrowed. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. "What did you say?" Drakkar's voice was deep, threatening. The translation device made his words clear, but the anger needed no translation. Tay felt his team tense behind him. Kwon's hand definitely moved to his weapon now. But Tay kept his eyes on the Vresh. He had said something wrong. He did not know what, but it was very wrong. "I said they're stunning," Tay repeated slowly. "You're warriors. They're magnificent. I meant it as respect." The tall female warrior, the one with the scar, made a sound. It was not quite a word. She looked at Drakkar, then back at Tay. Her forearms moved in a gesture Tay did not understand. "Explain," Drakkar demanded. "Explain this insult." "Insult?" Tay felt his heart race. "I didn't mean to insult anyone. I was complimenting them." Hana stepped forward quickly. "Commander Drakkar, Captain Tay is speaking from human cultural values. When humans see something impressive, we acknowledge it. Your warriors are clearly skilled and powerful. The captain was expressing genuine admiration. But this seemed to make things worse. The three female warriors looked at each other. The youngest one's scales seemed to change color slightly, darkening. The scarred veteran's breathing changed, faster now. The tall one, the leader of the three, spoke for the first time. Her voice was strong but uncertain. You look at us and see... What? What do you see? Tay chose his words carefully. I see warriors who have fought hard and survived. I see strength. I see power. And yes, I see beauty in that. The way you carry yourselves, the stories written on your armor, the confidence in every movement. It's impressive. It's stunning. The female warrior stared at him. Her large eyes studied his face like she was trying to solve a puzzle. Around them, the station's air recyclers hummed in the silence. Dracker made a sharp gesture. We will adjourn. This meeting is paused. Wait, Tay said. Can we talk about this? I clearly made a mistake, but I want to understand. There's nothing to understand, Dracker said. But he looked at his three female warriors, and something in his expression was not quite anger. It was confusion. We must discuss this among ourselves. The Vresh turned and walked back to their ship. The tall female warrior looked back once at Tay before the airlock closed. Tay stood there, his team gathering around him. What just happened? Quan asked. Hana was already pulling up files on her datapad. I don't know, but I'm going to find out. That was not a normal reaction to a compliment. Jin shook his head. Captain, I've been monitoring their internal communications. They're confused. Actually confused. I've never heard of the Vresh being confused about anything. Sora was pale. We might have just destroyed the peace talks. Tay looked at the closed airlock. Somewhere beyond it, three alien warriors were trying to understand why a human called them stunning. And he was trying to understand why that was a problem. Get me everything we have on Vresh culture, Tay said. Especially about their warriors. About how they view themselves. We're missing something big here. As his team scattered to their tasks, Tay could not shake the image of that tall warrior's face. The shock in her eyes. Like no one had ever said those words to her before. Like she did not know how to process them. What kind of culture, Tay wondered, creates warriors who don't know they're magnificent? Hannah worked through the night. Her eyes hurt from reading reports, but she could not stop. Somewhere in these files was the answer to what happened in that airlock. Most of the information about the Vresh came from other species who had fought them, or traded with them. The Vresh themselves shared almost nothing about their culture. But Hannah pieced together what she could. The Vresh were warriors. That part was clear. Their entire society was built around combat and conquest. Children were trained to fight from the moment they could walk. Weakness was not tolerated. Efficiency was everything. Then Hannah found something interesting. A report from a trader who had spent time on a Vresh colony world. The trader mentioned that Vresh warriors were never decorated for anything except battle achievements. No art, no music, no beauty. Those things were considered distractions. Hannah kept reading. Another report mentioned that Vresh females were the primary warriors. They were larger, stronger, more aggressive. Males handled strategy and command, but females did most of the fighting. And they were never, ever described as anything except dangerous. Captain, Hannah called into her communicator. I think I found something. Tay arrived in the research lab within minutes. He looked tired. He had been trying to contact the Vresh ship for hours, with no response. Hannah showed him what she found. Look at this. The Vresh have a concept they call function over form. Everything must serve a purpose. Decoration is weakness. Beauty is a waste of resources. So when I called their warriors stunning, Tay began. You implied they were decorative, Hana finished. You suggested they were pretty to look at instead of dangerous to face. In their culture, that's one of the worst insults you can give a warrior. Tay sat down heavily. But I didn't mean it that way. I meant they were impressive. That their strength was beautiful. I know, Hana said. But they don't have that concept. For the Vresh, strength and beauty are opposite things. You can't be both. The communicator on Hana's desk beeped. It was Jin. Captain, you need to hear this. I've been monitoring Vresh communications. They're arguing. Actually, arguing. The Vresh don't argue. Tay and Hana rushed to the communications room. Jin played the recording. The translation was rough, but the meaning was clear enough. It was Draker's voice. This is clearly an insult. We should leave immediately. Then another voice. The tall female warrior. But his body language showed no aggression. His heart rate was normal. There was no deception in his scent. It does not matter, Draker said. The words were inappropriate. Were they? This was a different female voice. The scarred veteran. He looked at us like we were... I don't have a word for it. Not prey. Not threat. Something else. This is exactly the problem, Draker said. You are warriors. You should not care how anyone looks at you. Silence on the recording. Then the tall female spoke again. I want to understand why he said it. That is all. Understanding the enemy is tactical. The humans are not our enemy, the youngest female said. That is why we are here. More silence. Then Draker said, Fine, I will contact them. But this is highly irregular. The recording ended. Tay looked at Jin. When was this? 10 minutes ago, Jin said. We just received a message. The warrior named Velna wants to meet with you. Alone. Quan, who had been listening, immediately shook his head. No, absolutely not. Captain, she could kill you with one hand. Probably, Tay agreed. But she wants to talk. That's more than we had an hour ago. Sora arrived, out of breath from running. Captain, I found more information. The Vresh have strict rules about male and female interactions. Warriors are separate from everything else. They're not people. They're weapons. They don't have personal lives. They don't have interests outside combat. Commenting on a warrior's appearance is like commenting on what a gun looks like instead of how well it shoots. Tay understood now. We don't see people that way. We never have. Exactly, Sora said. To us, someone can be a brilliant fighter and also be beautiful. Those things don't cancel each other out. But to the Vresh, they do. Tay made his decision. I'm meeting with Velna. Set it up. Captain, Quan protested. She wants to understand, Tay said. And honestly, I want to understand too. How do you build a society where half your population can't be seen as people? The meeting was arranged for the neutral observation deck. It was a large room with windows showing the stars. Tay waited there alone, as requested. His team monitored from a distance, ready to intervene if needed. The door opened. Velma entered. She was even more imposing alone. Without the others around her, Tay could see the details of her armor, the careful maintenance of each piece, the precision in every movement. She was a warrior down to her bones. She stopped several feet away from him. Her large eyes studied him carefully. You are not afraid, she said. It was not a question. I'm terrified, Tay admitted. You could break me without effort. But fear doesn't mean we shouldn't talk. Velna's head tilted slightly. You speak strangely, direct. Most species try to hide their fear. Hiding it won't make it go away, Tay said. And I respect you too much to lie. That word again. Respect. Velma's scales shifted color slightly, darkening around her neck. You keep using words that don't make sense. Respect. Stunning. Magnificent. These are not words for warriors. Why not? Tay asked. The question seemed to catch her off guard. Because warriors are tools, weapons. We exist to fight. Nothing more. Is that what you think you are? Tay asked gently. Just a weapon? Velma's forearms moved in what might have been a shrug. It is what I was hatched to be. What I was trained to be. I am good at it. I have conquered 12 worlds. I have never lost a battle. This is my function. And is that all you want to be? Silence. Long silence. Velma looked out at the stars. I don't understand the question, she finally said. But her voice was different. Uncertain. Tay stepped closer slowly, giving her time to move away if she wanted. She didn't. Where I come from, people can be many things. A doctor can also be a parent. A soldier can also be an artist. A warrior can be strong and powerful, and also be someone worth knowing as a person. Those things don't conflict. They do for us, Velna said. Beauty is weakness. Decoration is inefficient. Warriors who think about anything except combat are failures. But you're thinking about it now, Tay pointed out. You're here, asking questions. That's not the behavior of someone who's just a weapon. Velna turned to face him fully. When you looked at us, what did you actually see? Tay thought about how to answer. I saw warriors who had fought hard and survived. I saw the stories written on your armor. I saw confidence and power. I saw beings who had mastered something difficult and dangerous. And yes, I saw beauty in all of that. The way you move, the way you carry yourselves, the pride in your bearing. It's impressive. That's what stunning means. It means something takes my breath away because it's so impressive. Velna's breathing changed, faster. Her scale shifted through several colors. No one has ever described me that way. Never? Warriors are described as effective, efficient, dangerous, useful. Never. Impressive in the way you mean. That seems like a waste, Tay said. A waste of what? Of seeing who you really are. Velna made a sound that might have been a laugh or a sob. Tay could not tell. I don't know who I am beyond what I do. And there it was. The heart of the problem. These warriors had been trained so thoroughly to be tools that they had forgotten they were people. Would you like to find out? Tay asked. Velna looked at him for a long moment. Then she nodded slowly. Yes, I think I would. Aboard the Vresh warship, Korsha sat in her quarters and stared at her reflection. She had not done this in years. Decades, maybe. Warriors did not look at themselves except to check for injuries or ensure their armor was functional. But now she looked. Her scales were gray with hints of blue, scarred in hundreds of places. Her face was angular, harsh. One of her eyes was slightly damaged from a battle 30 years ago. Her forearms were thick with muscle, built for fighting. She was a weapon. That was what she had always been told. What she had always believed. So why did the human's words keep echoing in her mind? Stunning, magnificent. The door to her quarters opened. Terma entered without knocking. The youngest of their group looked agitated, her scales shifting colors rapidly. Korsha, Terma said, do you feel strange? Define strange, Korsha said, still looking at her reflection. I don't know. Confused, uncomfortable. Like something is wrong, but nothing is actually wrong. Terma paced the small room. The human's words. They keep repeating in my head. Why? Korsha finally turned away from the mirror. Because no one has ever said such things to us before. Exactly, Terma said. And it should be an insult. Commander Dracker says it is an insult. But it didn't feel like an insult. It felt like... She stopped, frustrated. I don't have words for how it felt. The door opened again. Velna entered. The tallest of them looked tired, which was unusual. Velna never looked tired. "We need to talk," Velna said. "All of us." Without Drakkar listening, the three warriors sat together. For a long moment, no one spoke. Outside the viewport, stars drifted past. "I met with the human captain," Velna said finally. He explained what he meant. Korsha and Terma both leaned forward. He said that where humans come from, strength and beauty are not opposites. That someone can be powerful and dangerous and also be worth appreciating. That warriors can be impressive, not just for what they destroy, but for who they are. "That makes no sense," Terma said, but she did not sound certain. "Doesn't it?" Velna asked. "I have been thinking. We are told we are weapons, tools, that our only value is in combat. But if that is true, why do we feel pride when we win? Why do we mourn when other warriors fall? Weapons don't feel. Tools don't care. But we do." Korsha felt something shift inside her. A truth she had always known but never acknowledged. "I have fought in 200 battles. I have scars from everyone. I maintained my armor not because I had to, but because I wanted it to tell my story. I carved symbols for my victories. That's not what a tool does. I was hatched smaller than the others," Velma said quietly. "I had to fight twice as hard to prove myself. Every instructor said I would fail. Every commander doubted me. I spent my entire life showing them they were wrong. And when I succeeded, when I became the best, I felt something. Not just satisfaction at completing a function. Something more. Pride," Terma said. "You felt pride." "Is that what it's called?" Velma looked at her hands. "All four of them." The human captain said these things don't conflict. That I can be a skilled warrior and also be a person who takes pride in that skill. That the two things together make me. What was his word? Impressive. Korsha stood and walked to the viewport. "I had a sister. She was killed in battle when we were young. I still think about her. I wonder what she would have become if she had lived. That's not tactical thinking. That's not useful for combat. But I think about her anyway." "I like the sound of plasma rifles charging," Terma admitted. "The hum they make, it's pleasant. I have never told anyone that it seems foolish." "I rearrange my quarters sometimes," Velna said. "Not for efficiency. Just because I prefer it one way over another. I thought there was something wrong with me for doing that." The three warriors looked at each other. Years of training told them this conversation was wrong. Dangerous. Warriors did not share personal thoughts. Warriors did not have personal thoughts, but they were having them anyway. The human captain asked me if I wanted to find out who I am beyond what I do, Velna said. I said yes, but I don't know how to do that. "Maybe," Korsha said slowly. "We asked them to teach us." "Drakkar will never allow it," Terma said. "This threatens everything our society is built on." Velna's scales shifted to a darker color. Determination. "Drakkar commands the ship, but we command the warriors. 60% of the Vresh military is female. If we want to learn about this human concept, who can stop us?" It was a radical thought. Warriors did not question orders. Warriors did not seek knowledge outside their function. Warriors did not decide for themselves, except they just had. "I want to understand," Terma said. "I want to know why the humans' words made me feel the way they did. Why they still make me feel that way. I want to know if there is more to existence than fighting," Korsha said. "I have fought for 80 years. If that is all I am, what happens when I am too old to fight? Do I simply cease to have value?" "I want," Velna said, and paused. The word itself felt revolutionary. Warriors did not want. They served. They functioned. "I want to know who I could be if I was allowed to be more than a weapon." Korsha made a decision. She walked back to the mirror and looked at herself again. This time, She tried to see what the human had seen, not just a warrior, not just a tool, a being, a person, someone with a history and preferences and thoughts that served no tactical purpose. "I am scared," she said out loud, admitting fear was forbidden. Warriors did not fear. "So am I," Terma said. "We all are," Velna agreed. "But maybe that's part of being more than weapons. Maybe people are allowed to be scared." The door chimed. All three warriors instantly went on alert, hands moving to weapons. Old habits thought it was a message from the human ship. Captain Tay was requesting another meeting, but this time he wanted all three of them to come, and he wanted to show them something he called cultural exchange materials. Velna looked at the other two. "Do we go?" "Drakkar will be furious," Terma said. "Drakkar is always furious about something," Korsha said. "What is your decision, Commander?" Velna realized that this was the first time she was making a choice, not based on tactics or strategy or what was expected of her. This was personal. This was about what she wanted. It was terrifying. It was also exciting. "We go," Velna said. "We learn. And then we decide what to do with what we learn." The three warriors left the ship together. Behind them, Drakkar watched from the command deck. He knew what was happening. He knew what this meant. Change was coming to the Vresh, whether he liked it or not. And it had all started with a simple compliment. On the human station, Tay prepared the meeting room with Hana's help. They had spent hours putting together materials, videos of human warriors, art depicting strength and beauty together, poetry about fighters, music that celebrated both power and grace. "Do you think this will work?" Hana asked. "I don't know," Tay admitted, "but they're coming. That's more than I hoped for." "You're changing their entire society," Hana said. "Do you realize that?" "I'm not changing anything," Tay said. "I'm just showing them possibilities. They'll decide what to do with those possibilities." The three Vresh warriors arrived. They looked nervous, which was strange to see on being so powerful. "Thank you for coming," Tay said. "I thought you might want to see how humans view warriors." Velna stepped forward. Her three companions flanked her. "Show us," she said. And Tay did. The meeting room was quiet except for the sound of a human recording playing. On the screen, a human female pilot named Yuna was being interviewed after a successful combat mission. The reporter asked her, "Commander Yuna, that was an incredible display of skill. How did you manage to outmaneuver 3 enemy fighters?" Yuna smiled. "Training, instinct, and a little bit of luck. My team deserves most of the credit. They fed me the information I needed exactly when I needed it." "You make it look like art," the reporter said. "Flying is art," Yuna replied. "Just because it's dangerous doesn't mean it can't be beautiful." Tay paused the video. The 3 Vresh warriors stared at the screen. "She called combat art," Terma said. "That is not how we speak of combat. Watch this next part," Tay said. The video continued. Now it showed Yuna at a ceremony. She wore a formal uniform with medals. Her hair was styled. She looked strong and proud, and yes, beautiful. The announcer said, "Commander Yuna receives the Star of Valor for her actions. She is not only one of our finest pilots, but also an inspiration to young people across the system. Her grace under pressure and her dedication to her craft to make her a true hero. Grace, beauty, skill, danger. All of these words used together for the same person." Korsha leaned forward. "They don't separate her combat ability from who she is as a person." "No," Hana said. She had joined the meeting to help explain. For humans, those things are connected. Someone's skill is part of their identity. How they move, how they think, how they approach problems. All of that together makes them who they are. And that can be appreciated. Tay showed them more. He showed them ancient human art, sculptures of warriors in dynamic poses, paintings of battles that emphasize both the violence and the human courage involved. He showed them poetry written by soldiers, music composed by fighters. "This poem," Velna said, pointing to one on the screen. "It was written by a warrior?" "Yes," Tay said. "A human soldier from centuries ago. He wrote about war, but also about missing home, about fear and courage, about what it means to fight for something you believe in." Velna read the words slowly, using the translation device. Her expression changed as she read. "He admits to being afraid. In writing, where others will see it. Courage isn't the absence of fear," Tay said. "It's acting despite fear." This soldier knew that. He was brave enough to fight and brave enough to be honest about his feelings. "We are never allowed to admit fear," Terma said quietly. "Fear is weakness. Fear is information," Hana said. "It tells you about threats. It keeps you alert. Ignoring it doesn't make you stronger. Understanding it does." Tay showed them more videos. Human warriors training, but also talking about their lives. A soldier who also painted. A fighter pilot who wrote music. A commander who taught children in her spare time. "These are all warriors?" Korsha asked. "Yes," Tay said. "And they're also artists, teachers, parents, friends. Being good at combat doesn't mean that's all they are." Velna stood and walked closer to the screen. "Show me that pilot again, Yuna." Tay pulled up more footage. Yuna in combat, moving her fighter with precision and skill. Yuna at a celebration, laughing with her squadron. Yuna speaking to young cadets, encouraging them. Yuna alone in a quiet moment, looking thoughtful. "She contains all of these things," Velna said. "Warrior, person, both at once." "Yes," Tay said. "Just like you contain more than just your combat training." Velna turned to him. "How do you know what I contain?" "You barely know me," Tay smiled. "Because you're here. Because you ask questions. Because you wanted to understand instead of just accepting what you were told. Those aren't the actions of a simple tool. Those are the choices of a thinking, feeling person." Velna's scales shifted colors rapidly. She was processing something. Big. Kor Shah spoke up. "Captain Tay, you said I was stunning. I want to understand what you saw." Tay looked at her. Really looked. "I saw a warrior who has fought for decades. Your armor tells stories of battles survived. Your scars are proof of strength. The way you move shows confidence earned through experience. You're efficient, precise, powerful. And yes, there's beauty in that. The beauty of something honed to perfection. The beauty of survival against odds. The beauty of dedication to a craft." Korsha's breathing changed. "No one has ever described my scars as proof of strength. They're just scars. They're evidence," Hana said. "Every one is a moment you survived. A choice to keep fighting. That's powerful." Terma stood suddenly. "I have been thinking about something the human captain said. About pride. I feel pride when I complete a difficult maneuver in battle. I feel pride when I maintain my weapons perfectly. But I was taught that pride is a weakness. That warriors should only care about function. Why is pride a weakness?" Tay asked. Tirma opened her mouth to answer, then stopped. I don't know. That is simply what we are taught." "Maybe," Tay said gently. "You were taught wrong." The room went silent. It was one thing to question personal beliefs. It was another to question the foundation of an entire culture. Velna spoke slowly. "If we were taught wrong about this, what else might we have been taught wrong about?" It was the most dangerous question. Tay knew it. Hana knew it. The three Vresh warriors knew it. "I can't answer that," Tay said. "Only you can. But I can show you how humans approach these questions." He showed them more. He showed them debates where humans argued different viewpoints. He showed them art that challenged ideas. He showed them children being taught to question and explore, not just obey. Your young are encouraged to ask why, Portia said, watching a video of a human classroom. Yes, Hannah said. Questions lead to understanding. Understanding leads to growth. We want our children to think for themselves. Fresh children are taught to obey, Terma said. Questions are punished, especially for warriors. How can you improve if you can't question your methods? Tay asked. Velna made a sound like a laugh. It was harsh, bitter. We don't improve. We simply are. We are hatched, trained, and deployed. We fight until we die. There is no room for growth. There could be, Hannah said. The three warriors looked at her. You're proof of it, Hannah continued. You're already growing. You're here, learning, questioning, feeling things you were told not to feel. That's growth. Velna sat down heavily. For such a large, powerful being, she suddenly looked very tired. I don't know how to be more than what I was trained to be. Tay sat across from her. You don't have to figure it all out right now. Growth takes time. Discovery takes time. Being a full person instead of just a function. That's a journey, not a destination. Will you help us? Velna asked. Her voice was small, vulnerable. Nothing like the commanding warrior from a few days ago. Yes, Tay said without hesitation. Why? Portia asked. What do you gain from this? Tay thought about it. Nothing material. But I believe that every thinking being deserves the chance to discover who they are. You were never given that chance. I'd like to help you find it. Terma's scales brightened. That is kindness. We are not used to kindness. Maybe you should be, Hannah said. Velna stood. She looked at Tay, then at Hannah. We will need to speak with the others. The other female warriors. If we are going to change, we cannot change alone. Take all the time you need, Tay said. The three Resh warriors left. But they walked differently than when they arrived. Not like weapons being deployed. Like people who had just learned something important about themselves. After they were gone, Hannah looked at Tay. You know what you're starting, right? This could reshape their entire civilization. I know, Tay said. Is that wrong? I don't know, Hannah admitted. But I think it's necessary. A culture that treats its people like tools. That can't be sustained forever. No, Tay agreed. It can't. And I think they're starting to realize that. Word spread through the Vresh fleet like fire. 3 warriors had met with the humans. 3 warriors were questioning everything. Drakkar tried to contain it. He issued orders forbidding contact with the human station. He reminded everyone that warriors did not ask questions. Warriors obeyed, but it was too late. Velna sent a message to every female warrior in the fleet. It was simple. The humans see us as people. Come learn what that means. 20 warriors came to the first meeting. Then 50. Then 100. Female warriors from every ship, every unit, every rank. They gathered in the large cargo bay of the human station. Tay had opened it to them willingly. Nari, a human anthropologist, stood before them with Tay. She had volunteered to lead what she called cultural exchange sessions. Beside her, Hannah operated recording equipment. This moment needed to be documented. Thank you for coming, Nari said. Her voice was steady despite facing a room full of beings who could kill her easily. I'm going to show you some things about human culture. About how we view strength and identity. You don't have to agree with any of it. You don't have to change anything. Just watch, listen, and think. She started with simple things. Human art that showed warriors. Not in combat, but in moments of peace. A soldier holding a child. A fighter pilot watching a sunset. A guard reading a book. These are all warriors, Nari said. But they're also people with full lives. The two things exist together. A Vresh warrior near the front spoke up. But combat is all-consuming. There is no time for other things, isn't there? Nari asked. What do you do when you're not fighting? Silence. The warriors looked at each other. Finally, one said, We maintain equipment. And? Nari prompted, We rest. Do you dream? Nari asked. More silence. Then, quietly, Yes. What do you dream about? The warrior looked uncomfortable. Different things. Sometimes past battles. Sometimes other things. What other things? The warrior's scales shifted colors. Places I have seen. Beings I have met. Sometimes I dream about flying, even though I cannot fly. These dreams are pleasant. Those are personal thoughts, Nari said gently. Personal preferences. Personal imagination. That's part of being a person. She showed them more. Human warriors talking about their interests. A soldier who collected old books. A pilot who studied ancient languages. A commander who grew plants in her quarters. These interests make them better warriors, Nari explained. The soldier's reading improves his strategic thinking. The pilot's language skills help with diplomacy. The commander's gardening teaches patience and care. Nothing is wasted. But it also makes them fuller people. Happier people. Korsha stood. Are happy warriors better warriors? Nari smiled. Yes, study after study shows that people who have fulfilling lives outside combat are actually more effective in combat. They have more to fight for. More reasons to survive. More mental resilience. This caused murmuring among the Vresh. It went against everything they believed. But it also made a kind of sense. Velna spoke next. Show us what you showed me. About being stunning and dangerous at the same time. Nari pulled up images and videos. Human warriors who were celebrated not just for their combat skills, but for their presence, their bearing, their personal style. Soldiers in dress uniforms that were both functional and aesthetically designed. Fighters who moved with grace as well as power. You can take pride in how you present yourself, Nari said. Your armor, your weapons, your bearing. These things can be functional and also reflect who you are as an individual. She showed them Vresh armor from the recording of their first meeting. Look at this. Each of you has customized your armor differently. These markings, these repairs, these personal touches. You already express yourselves. You were just told not to acknowledge it. The warriors looked at each other with new eyes. It was true. Every suit of armor was unique. Every weapon showed personal maintenance preferences. They had been individuals all along. They just weren't allowed to see it. Terma raised one of her 4 hands. What if we want to change things? What if we want to be more than weapons? How do we do that? Nari looked at Tay. He stepped forward. You start small, Tay said. You acknowledge one thing about yourself that isn't related to combat. Just one thing. A preference. A memory. A dream. You allow yourself to have that. Then you build from there. One warrior spoke up. I like the color blue. Is that allowed? Of course, Tay said. Why wouldn't it be? Colors serve no tactical purpose. Maybe not, Tay agreed. But they serve a personal purpose. They make you feel something. That feeling is valid. You're allowed to have it. Another warrior. I keep a small stone from my home world. I look at it sometimes. It makes me feel connected. Is that foolish? No, Nari said. That's memory. That's identity. That's knowing where you come from. That's important. More warriors began speaking, admitting small things they thought made them weak. A preference for a certain type of food. A habit of watching the stars. a memory of a fallen comrade that they treasured not for tactical reasons, but because they missed their friend. Each admission was like a wall crumbling. The sessions continued for days. More warriors came. They learned about human concepts, individuality, personal growth, the integration of strength and self-expression. They watched videos, read texts, asked endless questions, and slowly, things began to change. Warriors started modifying their armor in more deliberate ways. Not just marking kills, but adding patterns they found pleasing. Colors they liked. Symbols that meant something personal to them. They started talking to each other differently. Not just about tactics and battles, but about thoughts and preferences and experiences. They started questioning orders that didn't make sense. Not rebelliously, but thoughtfully. Why do we do it this way? Is there a better way? Drakkar watched all of this with growing concern. He contacted the Vresh High Command. The humans are corrupting all warriors. They are teaching them to question, to think of themselves as individuals. This threatens our entire structure. But the High Command surprised him. Tell us, Drakkar, are these warriors less effective? Drakkar had to admit the truth. No. If anything, they are more focused. More determined. They fight with purpose. Then what is the problem? Drakkar struggled to explain. They are different. Changed. They are thinking for themselves. And is that a bad thing? The High Command asked. Warriors who think might be warriors who innovate, who adapt, who survive longer. Perhaps we should be studying this, not stopping it. 3 months after the first meeting, the formal diplomatic agreements were signed. Trade routes established. Cultural exchange programs created. The Vresh and humans were allies now, but something bigger had happened. At the signing ceremony, Velna stood beside Drakkar. She wore her armor, but it was different now. Still functional, still marked with her victories, but also decorated with patterns she found beautiful. Blue swirls that reminded her of water. Silver lines that caught the light. She looked like a warrior. She also looked like herself. When the documents were signed, Tay approached her. Thank you, Velna said, for seeing us. Really seeing us. Thank you for being willing to look, Tay replied. Velna glanced at the other warriors gathered for the ceremony. Dozens of them, all showing signs of personal expression now. All standing a little differently. With pride, yes, but also with awareness of themselves as individuals. You changed everything, Velna said. No, Tay said. You changed everything. I just pointed out what was already there. Velna smiled. It was the first time Tay had seen her smile. It transformed her face from fierce to stunning. There was that word again. But now she understood it. Now she knew it wasn't an insult or a weakness. It was truth. I have a question, Velna said. The humans have diplomats, scientists, artists, all kinds of specialists. You were sent as the captain of this mission. Why you specifically? Tay thought about it. Honestly, I think someone in command knew that first contact would require someone who sees people as people first, function second. I've never been good at seeing anyone as just their job. That's a valuable skill, Velna said. So is being a brilliant warrior, Tay said. But I bet you have other valuable skills too. You just never got the chance to discover them. I would like that chance, Velna said. We would all like that chance. Then take it, Tay said. Your high command is interested. Your warriors are ready. The only thing stopping you is the belief that you can't change. But you already have. 6 months later, a Vresh delegation arrived on Earth. All female warriors, led by Velna. But they came not just as military representatives. They came as students of human culture, philosophy, and self-expression. News crews gathered to record their arrival. A reporter asked Velna how she felt about being on Earth. Velna looked around at the blue sky. The green plants, the diversity of life and people. She thought about the journey from being a weapon to being a person. She thought about all the warriors back home who were beginning their own journeys. She thought about a human captain who had seen them as stunning and meant it as the highest compliment. "It's stunning," she said, using the word carefully, with full understanding now. All of this, the possibilities, the growth, the chance to be more than we thought we could be, is stunning. And she smiled. Behind her, the other warriors smiled too. Different beings, different experiences, but united in this. They were warriors, yes,